Hello the internet, Tough Monkey here once again, hope you're all well, thanks for stopping by. Do you have what it takes to be a racing driver? Have you got the ability? Have you got the talent to be a racing driver? Unfortunately, that isn't necessarily what it takes. Motor racing is an incredibly expensive thing to do. So you'd think that money is what you need. Well, as the saying goes, money doesn't buy you happiness. What you do need is opportunity. If you're looking for an opportunity to be a racing driver, you may want to take a look at this. Head over to Racing Prodigy's website and check out their latest opportunity. Qualification has now begun for Season 2 of the Prodigy Racing League, taking place over the next few months across a number of games and formats. The deadline for entry is midday October the 7th, so do make sure you've signed up before then. So what opportunity are you signing up to here? Racing Prodigy understand and appreciate the financial barrier to entry into motorsport. They're offering you the opportunity to enter, race and win your pass to be taken out to Prodigy Week. At Prodigy Week, you'll be competing against other Prodigy Pass winners. You'll be tested for your physical and mental ability, your marketability, your personality, and of course your driving ability. Not in simulators, but in real race cars on real race tracks. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, this is way too good to be true. But it's already happened. These guys went out for part 1 of Season 1 last year. And these guys, they went out for part 2 of Season 1. Can't take their word for it, they're not here. But what about this guy though? Yeah? Do you remember that clip at the start of the video? That was me. I still don't believe any of that happened, but it did. If you're ready to let that happen to you, get over to Racing Prodigy's website now and sign up. If you're still not convinced, stick around. This video is the story of my Prodigy Week and everything that's happened since. And if that doesn't convince you to sign up, nothing will. So how on earth did I go from making YouTube videos about pretending to be a racing driver to actually being a racing driver?
And the best thing is he got out of the car and you could see the grin already as he had his helmet still on, squishing his face.
Naturally, most people are going to win their Prodigy Pass by playing on a PC-based racing simulator. But if you've not got a racing simulator or even a PC, don't worry. I, like a number of other people, won my Prodigy Pass by playing on Street Kart Racing on iOS, either on iPhone or like I did on my iPad. Street Kart Racing, it proved that you don't need expensive simulator equipment to be good enough for Racing Prodigy. If you've got the ability, they want to know who you are. I'm a console gamer. My PC, it's not even good enough to run iRacing. I'm a retro console gamer. Sega Rally, that's my jam. My first racing game was Checkered Flag on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum 40 years ago. I've graduated through all of the Gran Turismos, Colin McRae Rally, Toca Race Driver, the original Super Mario Kart, they're my games, Super Monaco Grand Prix. If you've got the talent and you've got a mobile phone, you could be good enough for Racing Prodigy. Something else that you're going to need if you win your Prodigy Pass though is fitness. I had to get myself back into shape when I won my Prodigy Pass. You're going to spend several days in a race car, having the kind of forces exerted on your body that only a race car can provide. Racing Prodigy are going to want to know that you are physically capable of dealing with those kind of stresses on your body. If you win your Prodigy Pass, you need to make sure you have the cardiovascular and physical strength to be able to deal with the forces of a race car. In my preparation for Prodigy Week, I lost over 30 pounds in weight and got myself down to being able to run a 5k in around 20 minutes. I'm not saying you need to do the same, but Racing Prodigy are going to be looking for the kind of individual with that level of motivation and drive. So, the first Prodigy Week was held at the Atlanta Motorsports Park in the United States of America. This was our wagon, the Sucker Punch branded Mercedes Sprinter van, taking us to the Airbnb up in the mountains. I mean, as B&Bs go, this one's a good one. We all got a welcome goodie bag full of food, drink and merchandise ready for our first day at the Atlanta Motorsports Park racetrack. And from this moment onwards, you can expect to be on camera at all times. The entire Prodigy Week is broadcast live onto YouTube, so you can expect to be followed around by at least one camera crew at all times during your stay at the track. You will be offered media training, but being comfortable in front of a camera before you go out to America would be beneficial.
Introduce yourself to everyone. Let us know where you're from.
Hi, I'm Craig Laws. I'm from Derby in the United Kingdom. I'm the oldest one here at 45 years old.
45 years young.
45 years young.
Of course, got stat sheets. And one of my favorite stat sheets that came through with them, it said, okay, wife and border collie named Storm. So we know that your dog's name is Storm. And I just love that was the importance. We got to make sure that the fans and the viewers know about Storm.
It doesn't matter how successful I be. If I became a Formula 1 world champion, the dog would be more important to the world, I'm sure.
The scale of this broadcast may well take you by surprise. This is an incredibly professionally run operation. The Atlanta Motorsports Park is a fantastic venue and you can expect an experience like no other. Our first full day at the track was spent doing a bit of sim racing, we did our media training, we did our fitness tests. We also did some auto test and skid control training in a BMW. This is the Atlanta Motorsports Park track, a fantastic facility. And the final throw of the dice on this first day, we got a barbecue laid on for us in the pit lane of all places. Yeah, this was a great way to wind down after the first long full day at Atlanta Motorsports Park. Live band playing, barbecue laid on for us, we can wander wherever we wanted to around the track. I went and watched them putting the Radical SR1s away for the evening. Yes, this is the car I would be driving for the next 2 days in Atlanta. The following morning the rain had come, we weren't even sure if we were going to get out in the Radicals. It delayed proceedings, but it did give me a chance to do a bit of a blog for everyone. Good morning from Atlanta Motorsports Park. It's 7 o'clock in the morning and it is a bit soggy here on day 2 of Prodigy week. We're going to get to play in the Radicals later today. Okay, first day went pretty well actually. Not too bad actually, considering how tired I was after the flight. It was a 9-hour flight and another hour stood in immigration. But it was a 5 o'clock start. It was a 5 o'clock start this morning, 5 o'clock start the day before. So I'm starting to feel a little bit tired, but not too bad actually. Not too bad. I'm excited. I'm quite confident the way things are going. The run yesterday morning, the fitness was good. My cardio was excellent. My upper body strength was as expected. I'm not particularly strong in the upper body, but that is something I can work on. We then decamped over to the Atlanta Motorsports Park and we spent plenty of time over there, which is the skid pan and the auto test in those BMWs over there. It was a bit of a journey into the unknown really, because I've never driven a left-hand drive car before. Left-hand drive, it was automatic and it was chucking it down with rain at times, so I took it a bit cautiously and it was a decent time, but another attempt and I think I would have been right up there. But today we get to play in the Radicals and although it's still raining at the moment, it's due to dry up, maybe a bit more rain in the afternoon. The Radicals will be fitted with wet weather tyres and they're going to be a bit of a handful, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great deal of fun.
You see Craig Laws and Juliana staring at the screen as well. Juliana, what's going on?
Yeah, we're both just like immersed in these screens. For those of you that can't see behind us, we got screens over here, and we're watching them. Craig was like, no, I was telling him, we're not ready for you. He goes, that's all right, I'm watching them. What do you think watching them out there?
I want to get out there, they're having fun out there.
But it was soon time for us to have some fun. Although the track was drying, it was still a little bit damp, so everyone went out for their first experience of the Radicals behind the BMW pace car at a reduced speed. This gave us a chance to just get used to the Radical, get used to the controls, just bed ourselves in slowly. We did a track walk before we went out for the first laps, which gave us an indication of what the contours of the track was like, the gradients, where the curbs were. It just gave us a good introduction to the car before we were let loose onto it later on in the day. There were 20 drivers present at Prodigy Week, so we were split up into 4 groups of 5. All 5 of us would stay in the Airbnb together, we'd travel to the track backwards and forwards together, and the 5 of us would be out on track together at the same time. So there was always 5 Radicals on track at any one time. Each group had a mentor assigned to them, who after every run would go through the video footage and telemetry from the car and suggest ways of improving your driving ability. Our mentor was the fantastic Kenton Cook, and there was also people like the former F1 and IndyCar driver Max Papis.
Well, Super GT said he was supporting Nathan Maximin and Craig Laws. Let's see if Craig Laws feels like he's lived up to his potential. How nervous is he feeling about the driver that he was 15 years ago?
Well, Arjuna, again, the best thing is he got out of the car, and you could see the grin already as he had his helmet still on, squishing his face. The Hans are off. How are you feeling right now? And did it come back to you like riding a bicycle?
It really does, yeah. That was great fun. It's certainly more fun than my Kia at home. So, yeah. And how's my helmet hair looking? Is it
Your helmet hair looks
good?
phenomenal.
That's fine. Excellent. Good.
Unfortunately, my second run didn't quite go to plan. Coming down the start-finish straight heading into turn 1, I caught sight of Thomas coming up behind me. You can see his headlights in the rearview mirror there. I thought he was going to dive bomb me into the first corner, so I left my brake in a little bit deeper, I went wide and I got on the kitty litter. There was no grip there whatsoever and I ended up sliding gracefully into the sand. All I could do was follow the race briefing, turn the engine off and wait for the marshal to recover me.
From your perspective, what happened there?
I was just braking into the final corner and I just saw in my left mirror Tom was behind me. It just caught me by surprise. I just left my braking a little bit too late and it started to turn into the corner. There's a bit of front end slide. I knew immediately it wasn't going to make the corner, so I straightened it out to try and stop the car as soon as possible without going into the arm code there. So I kind of aborted the corner knowing that I wasn't going to make it.
So after this early setback, I had to dust myself off and get back in the car very quickly. It had knocked me confidence. I was struggling under braking. I went out for one more run later that day and I noticed that I was really being hesitant on the brakes and also finding that I was struggling with downshift. I couldn't understand why, certainly into turn 6, this tight right-hander here, on 2 occasions it wouldn't change down from 4th gear. There was a hesitancy and I couldn't figure it out. So I knew I needed to speak to my mentor Kenton to work out what my issues were.
There were 2 occasions when I downshifted from 4 and it didn't downshift at all, both times into turn 6.
Hello everyone, that's the end of day 2 all wrapped up at Prodigy Week. It's been an interesting day, ups and downs, a few more downs than ups unfortunately today. Started pretty well actually. The first run in the Radicals was in damp conditions. We didn't get the torrential downpour that some people did, but we went out in tricky-ish damp conditions and that went really well. Going behind the BMW pace car, no problems, felt confident in the car. Second run, I was the lead driver out in our group. I had Thomas behind me who I knew was going to be quick, and I was keeping one eye on him, and I kind of lost track of where he was and he came up behind me a little bit quicker than I was expecting. Braking into the first corner, that one down there. As I moved my gaze towards the left-hand side of the car for the apex, I caught sight of him in my rear-view mirror and I thought he was sending it up my inside, so I left a gap for him, and there was no grip whatsoever on the outside of the corner, and it was the most stupid slow-speed pratfall drift into the gravel trap down there. But it didn't deter me. I was just determined to get straight back out on the track and put right those wrongs. So we had a bit of a debrief for the few brief laps that we did, and then we went out again and felt much better, but I haven't got the confidence in the car yet. I've got a number of issues. I'm having to brake a lot earlier than everyone else just because I just don't have the trust in the car. I should have the trust in the car, but I haven't built it up yet. So I need to work on that, try and brake a heck of a lot deeper. I've been through my traces, my data traces with Kenton over dinner tonight, and we've got I'm losing like a second into the first corner and another half a second into turn 6. So I need to work on my confidence. I'm catching the throttle, or at least I think I'm catching the throttle. There's potential that the car may have some kind of issue that the throttle is sticking on just ever so slightly, and it denies me from changing down a gear. Coming into turn 6 over there on a couple of occasions, it wouldn't let me change down a gear, so I've just not quite got the confidence in the car. I've got stuff to work on tomorrow. I know where I'm slow. Looking at the data traces, I'm pretty much on it through the fast corners, but you don't really gain any time through the fast corners. You gain the time through the slow corners, and it's in braking where I'm losing all my time. So I've got to work on that. Much to do tomorrow. We've got all the qualifying tomorrow and then the shootout. I have a lot of work to do. Anyway, tomorrow is another day, and this evening's been pretty good. I managed to have my dinner and chocolate brownie sat next to a former F1 and IndyCar driver and a Daytona 24-hour winner, so it's not been all bad. Catch you tomorrow. Looking at the data allowed us to work out what my problem had been on day 2. I was right, there was still throttle being applied, even though I thought I was taking my foot entirely off the pedal. Every car had ballast applied to balance up the weight between all the drivers, and that ballast was placed inside the footwell. And as it turned out, my foot, as it was coming off the pedal, my heel was catching onto that ballast, so my foot wasn't entirely coming off the pedal. It's why there was still a little bit of revs applied to the car, and the car wasn't changing down the gear, and the car didn't feel as though it's slowing down as much as I thought it was, and that's why I was losing confidence in the braking. So a little bit of adjustment for day 3 allowed me to get on and try and build up that lost confidence. My first run on the final day was much better. I felt a lot more confident, but I still wasn't quite there. I was braking far too early into this first corner, the biggest stop on the circuit. I still had work to do with one final run left to do.
Hannah Newhouse is standing by, I believe, with the tough monkey himself.
You still have a little bit of time before you get back on the racetrack. Qualifying now behind you. Where is your mindset?
Well, obviously keeping one eye on the weather at the moment. We've just had a huge downpour, but the temperature here, it's going to dry up pretty quickly. If there's no more rain, it's probably going to be dry by the time I get out there, or at the very least just mildly moist.
Does that change how you approach maybe knowing that these race cars are being pushed to the limit?
Of course, I'm going to have to be a little bit more cautious. Going to have to change my line, certainly into turn 1. Come a car width over to the left to make sure I'm not on the grippy line, otherwise I'll just be sliding into the kitty litter a bit like yesterday, so I want to avoid doing that.
Fortunately, I avoided doing that. Although I wasn't as fast as the top guys, my own progression was in the right trajectory, leading to my personal best on this, my final lap in the car.
His turn, still got his race suit on here, but you're standing by with Craig Laws.
Unfortunately, you weren't part of that 8, but aren't you still proud of yourself? Tell me how you're feeling now, even though you're not part of that 8.
Well, first of all, I am proud of what I've done. I knew I was never going to be as competitive as these guys. These guys and girls are just so talented,
yes.
every single one of them, and I've not got a bad word to say about any one of them. They are fantastic athletes, great racers, and to be honest, I'd have been embarrassed if I'd have got through on the fan vote and knocked someone out of their opportunity. I'm proud of what I've done. My progression has been good. Bearing in mind I was backwards in a gravel trap yesterday, I've got managed to get round the lap, and my times have got better and better. And my very final lap, as I came across the line, my very last time in the car, it was my best lap. So I'm pleased with that. So I'm not as fast as these guys, but I wanted to come here this morning and go under 130, and I did that many times. And very final lap, I was really pleased with.
I mean, that's a great outlook and really cool to walk away with. So now that you are finished here, I know you're excited to get home to your wife TC and Storm. What's next?
I need to buy myself a computer and do some proper sim racing, because obviously I came here because of Streetcar, which I'm eternally grateful for, and thank you to all the people at home who've voted from the Streetcar community, which is why I play the game, because it's got such a strong community. But I could really do with getting on the sim rigs, because before I came out, well, I've never played iRacing, I've never played Race Room or Assetto Corsa or anything like that. It was Streetcar that got me here. But I've seen what some of these guys can do. I need to buy myself a computer that can actually run these things.
Right.
And I should continue to do my running. And it would be nice to get back in a kart. I've not been on a kart in 15 years, and I fancy going to Bookmore Park, back where I used to drive in England, and doing a few laps.
All right, well, let's do it this way. How about anyone watching? Can we get some sponsors? He wants to get back in a kart. He wants a computer. Help Craig out, okay?
Yeah, nice, thank you.
Right? Thank you. It was a joy watching you, and safe travels home.
Thank you.
Arjuna, Brian, you guys have any computer hookups? We need them.
No.
Do you know how to build a computer?
No, I barely know how to operate a computer.
So that was it for Prodigy Week from me. That was my final drive in the car, and I hadn't qualified for the final 8 shootout. That was my final interview with Juliana, and I went off upstairs to go and pack my bags for the long journey home. Except that wasn't it. A few minutes later, I got called back down by one of the producers, and, well, this happened.
Let's check in with a special announcement here from Prodigy Week Part 2.
Thank you, Arjuna. Yeah, we got Craig back down here because, as you guys know, Sucker Punch is a huge sponsor, but I needed you to take these pickles. We're gonna practice some media, and there's a whole reason I'm doing this, but we gotta get you to try them, open it up, taste. These are their bread and butter. We don't have any shooters, which are way easier to eat. We're having to use our hands down here. We're gonna take these pickles and try them. Tell me what you think.
Go on.
Yeah, cheers.
Yep, that's the taste of a burger right there.
Well, that's it.
It's a burger.
That's it. All right. The whole reason we're doing this, A, because we love them, and we love Brian Schmucker, who is just an incredible human. He was actually listening to our broadcast on his drive home.
Oh, yeah.
And he heard your interview.
Oh, yeah.
And he heard what I asked our sponsors for. What did you ask me?
New computer is what I was
That is
after.
what you said.
Yeah.
And you know what he called and told us?
Yep.
I'm giving him a sim machine.
Oh, wow, thank
So,
you.
Brian Schmucker.
Thank you.
Craig, you now have a brand new sim machine that you can use to improve your racing skills.
Oh, well,
Brian
thank you
Schmucker.
very much. Sucker Punch, brilliant.
There you have it. Brian, thank you so much for listening to us. This is incredible. I just enjoy it when you get home.
I will. I'm going to eat some more pickles. Thank you very much.
Guys, what do you think of that? There you go.
Craig Laws now powered by Pickles and powered by Sucker Punch, getting a good gaming computer. That's very, very cool. Thank you. And a shout out to Brian Schmucker, not Brian Till.
I'll eat a pickle.
Well, do you want a computer?
That's what I said. I'll eat a pickle.
So the funniest thing as well, Craig Laws flies over from the UK. What's the first thing that he does when he gets through immigration? He gets welcomed onto the Sucker Punch bus that took them to the hotel. Him and Jai Fletcher got
A shooter?
pickle shooters. His introduction to the US was the pickle shooters.
Welcome to the S.
Yeah, that happened as well. I mean, what is going on here? And that's not even the full story. It got more and more ridiculous. That's a whole other video, so do check that out when I post that. But that genuinely was it for my involvement with Prodigy Week. Well, let's have a look at the celebrations.
And our first place winner from the UK, Will Redford. We'll let everyone get their shots for just a second. Is everyone good? All right. Gentlemen, pick up your champagne. I'm going to run, give them a shake, and celebrate!
Okay, and that was it for Prodigy Week. Well, again, I say that afterwards we then went to one of the largest automobile museums in America, had a meal there, and then got shown around a private collection. But that was genuinely it.
But Shirley's a little crazy. She liked the Titanic and Freddie Mercury. Anybody ever heard of Freddie Mercury? She worships Freddie Mercury, even though he's dead. My goal was to try and get more ladies. So I'm so proud to see the two of you here. But we do, let's give you two.
Racing Prodigy Week has come to an end. Oh, I am still buzzing. What a week. 20 people competing against each other, and there was no animosity, there was no egos there. Everyone was so good. It was absolutely wonderful. And not just the competitors, everyone behind the scenes. I've not seen any of the broadcast, I don't know what you guys saw, but everyone behind the camera was wonderful. People would walk down the corridor past you and say hello to you, say your name, and you're like, I don't know who you are, but hey, good day. It was wonderful. I shall do a proper video. I've got to do a proper video of everything. I've got so much footage, I've got so many photographs, I've got so many people to thank. And yesterday, I don't know if you saw on the stream, I had an interview with Juliana, and she asked me
simple, straightforward question about what I was going to do when I got home, and I said, I saw the speed of these guys who are some of them full-time sim racers. I said I need to get on a simulator and just put more time in there, because my computers are really old. I need to buy a new computer. I need a new sim rig to really give it the justice it deserves. And I went away. A couple of hours later, I got called down for another interview, and they told me that the CEO of Sucker Punch had rang in and said he wanted to buy me a sim rig, and even now I still can't believe it. That's just madness. It's just the icing on the cake of what has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. It's been fantastic. So thank you, Sucker Punch, thank you, Racing Prodigy, and thank you, Streetcar, for getting me here.
Of course, there was then just a small matter of selecting the 24 drivers for the paid racing driver contracts. I mean, I suppose they could have just sent us an email, maybe do a Zoom call, or maybe do a multi-hour broadcast in the Williams Formula 1 fan zone in Piccadilly Circus during the weekend of the British Grand Prix. Yeah, let's do that. There's a few important things happening this weekend. England are playing Switzerland in the Euros. My favourite band AC/DC are playing at Wembley Stadium. There's the aftermath of some general election. There's the British Grand Prix. But most importantly for me, from 2 p.m, Saturday the 6th of July, the inaugural Racing Prodigy Draft will be held at the Williams F1 fan zone in London. From the 32 drivers from 14 countries who attended the Racing Prodigy weeks over at the Atlanta Motorsports Park, 24 drivers are going to be selected to receive a paid contract from Racing Prodigy to compete in its P3 Championships launching this October in the US. Now, as one of the slowest drivers, and very definitely the oldest driver, I'm not expecting to be chosen. But I've got my invite, and I'll be there to support those that do. I'll also be there in London to support the amazing project that Racing Prodigy and its partners have developed, and to support my fellow streetcar gamers. The whole event will be streamed live on YouTube, so do tune in and see what you could be doing in Season 2. I'll see you there. Taxi!
From over 100,000 global sim racers in Season 1, 32 stand above. They push their limits at Prodigy Week for their shot at being drafted. For 24 drivers, this is where dreams turn to reality. Inside the Williams Racing Fan Zone, presented by Kraken, in the heart of London, the inaugural Prodigy Draft will be held. 6 teams, 4 rounds, 24 drivers selected. Each receive a pro racing contract to compete in the Prodigy 3 Championship. For these drivers, a life-changing opportunity, transforming their dreams into reality.
It's time to turn dreams into reality. Hi folks, Arjuna Kankipati here, live from the 2024 Prodigy Draft. We're here in the heart of London, from the Williams Fan Zone presented by Kraken, to turn sim racers into professional race car drivers.
How are you feeling now that 2 rounds have gone? You've only got 2 rounds left.
Well, I'm feeling very relaxed about it. I mean, I've come here not really expecting to get picked, purely because although I've really put up a fight to be here, I knew I wasn't the fastest there, so I've come here quite relaxed, not expecting to be picked, but I've come here to support both the other people who are here who will get picked, and also to support this great initiative. Racing Prodigy has just given me a fantastic opportunity, and to be honest, if I wasn't here with you guys, I'd be mowing the lawn or going to do the grocery shopping.
Well, you know, I do have to follow up. When we were in Atlanta, Ryan Schmucker heard you and I speaking, and he ended up gifting you a sim machine. How has it been? Have you gotten it? Tell me all about it.
I haven't received it yet. It's been built at the moment by another YouTuber, random call sign, and so I'm expecting it at some. To be honest, I've got no idea what it is that's actually going to rock up. But I'm just so grateful to Brian and his team. That was amazing when we were out in Atlanta, and you surprised me with that. That was.
Totally unsurprisingly, I didn't get drafted as one of the 24 drivers. However, there were still 6 places available as reserve drivers.
As a reminder, you the fans, you still have your part to play. Next week on racingprodigy.com, make sure you vote for our reserve drivers. Of the 8 drivers that went undrafted today, 6 of them will be on call, fighting for more seat time in the Radical SO1, and the top vote getters will be the ones locked in as our reserve drivers.
Amazingly, I was one of those 6 people nominated by the fans to be a reserve driver as part of the Prodigy Racing League. Thank you so much to everyone who voted for me. Because of you, my story continues at least for a little bit longer over in America. If you've watched this video and said, I want that for me, sign in with Racing Prodigy. It genuinely could be the best thing you ever do. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've been Tough Monkey, and on that, I'm going to hand back to Arjuna.
There's still more news to come about Season 2 of Prodigy Racing League esports competitions, so if you want to be part of our mission, make sure you stay tuned on social media and you join us for Prodigy 3 and the Racing Championship. It will take us to March of 2025 to crown our first Ethereal champion and to close Season 1 of the Prodigy Racing League. For everyone behind the scenes, Juliana alongside here at London, but everyone that has made this happen, thank you for supporting Racing Prodigy's mission of removing barriers to motorsports. Dreams have been turned to reality, and 24 sim racers will sign professional racing contracts to go racing later this year.